And even then, my music will live forever.
Well, I believe everybody have a spiritual side, no matter if it's a good spirit or a bad spirit, because they can be haunted by either or. He was haunted by an evil spirit as well as something that he tried to shake off, and he expressed a lot of his positive spirit to the people, you know what I'm saying? But everybody, you know, is like a battery to me, is from my understanding of life. Negative and positive energy is a balance. How do you balance it and how do you deal with it in your life? I believe with Pac, he tried to deal with those spirit, you know, the best way he can, coming up with, you know, from his foundation and from the understanding and from the diction of whatever he read. That's what, you know, the Creator gave to him.
The great writer Howard Thurman, who was also a preacher and a mystic, said that one of the ingenuities of black slave culture was the ability not to reduce one's hopes, dreams, or visions to the level of the event, which is one's immediate experience. The immediate experience may be nasty, may be nefarious, may be evil, may be problematic, may be hurtful, but one must foster, encourage, manage the future vision that allows one to escape the immediate consequences of despair. Hopelessness occurs when one has the inability to imagine a different future.
And you know, Tupac always said, I see the future and it's hopeless. He said that, and that makes me worry because he was somebody that I really respect what he has to say, and I think he does have that ability to see in the future. I think he did have that intelligence.
Tupac represented both sides of the coin. On the one hand, he represented extraordinary hopefulness. When you talk about keeping your head up, when you're talking about searching for Black Jesus, as he did with the Outlaws, we're looking for somebody who smokes like we smoke, drink like we drink. A Black Jesus, not somebody too perfect, he said, but a saint in the ghetto to whom we can pray. One thinks immediately of that great passage in Hebrews that says we have not a high priest who is incapable of identifying with our own limitations. So in one sense, Tupac was the secular external articulation of an ongoing religious debate about the possibility of identifying with a God who became what we are.
What he was searching for was something rooted in the despair that he knew. Not a blonde-haired, blue-eyed embodiment of perceived white perfection, but something more tangible and relevant to him.
We're searching for Black Jesus. Black Jesus meant for him that figure who identifies with the downtrodden and the downfallen. The Black Jesus is a new figure, both literally within the literary traditions of Black response to suffering, but also religious responses to suffering. The Black Jesus is not the Jesus of history, or if it is the Jesus of history, it is the Jesus who has never been talked about. It is an irreverent creation that most people who talk about Jesus would never recognize. We don't want a Jesus who's too perfect. Wait a minute. We thought Jesus was the definition of perfect. No. Somebody who smokes like we smoke, drink like we drink, a God who smokes marijuana, a blunt-smoking Jesus. That is not the catechism of the irreverent. That is pure blasphemy.
Within that blasphemy, something else is at work. A fundamental attempt to make God more accessible. Zealots are outraged when they hear this notion, but the ideals are primary to Christianity, a human link from God to man.
Tupac Shakur is deconsecrating what has essentially been a sacred world. That is a blasphemy worthy of the auto da fe in the Spanish Inquisition. People would hang Tupac, and did, metaphorically, lyrically.
I think I've been attacked more than I deserve, but that's all good to me, because I always been a fighter, always been a soldier, always been a struggler. Can't nothing stop me but death itself. You know what I mean? So as far as what I have to say to other people, I don't really want to come off like I got the answer, I'm finna teach y'all. It's not like that. I don't got the answers. I just try to speak about things that affect me and about things that affect our community. And I try to do it from a viewpoint of the watcher. Sometimes I'm the watcher, and sometimes I'm the participant, and sometimes it's just allegories or fables that have a moral or have a theme, underlying theme in it.
To me, he's seen something very deep. He was able to see into his dreams and the way his life would be.
What many think he saw was his own icon after death. In seeing himself as a Black leader, he couldn't shake the religious connection to Black activism from the past, and the way most had met their end, by violent means.
I think about Tupac as a kind of extraordinarily irreverent natural theologian who gave voice to a black quest for meaning in the midst of suffering.
Within music, there's a chance to connect with people on a basic level, either to give meaning to suffering or a reason for being. Tupac looked to the greats of all colors and the methods that made their work connect.
My inspiration for writing music is like Don McLean when he did American Pie, and he did Vincent, like Shakespeare when he does his things, like deep stories, you know, like Raw Human Needs, Lorraine Hansberry with Raisin in the Sun. I want to do that to my music. That's how I like to do it. Marvin Gaye, you know?
Like any other facet of black culture, hip-hop is rooted in religion. So just as with his social critiques, he eventually indicted the religious community.
I went to church, but they underhand it. I don't understand it, right? So he's already saying that there is some contradiction between the ideal of serving the masses by virtue of being religious and seeing them being taken advantage of by not well-intending priests, preachers, and so on.
Even the long-standing hip-hop creed of keeping it real found its origins in the religion of struggle from the past.
I mean, I don't have to say I'm keeping it real. You can listen to the music and go, whoa.
Keeping it real really drew from the same religious passion of Orthodox black religion. I want to live the life I sing about in my song was a Mahalia Jackson quote, was a quote of the gospel culture that Tupac distanced himself from. But he embraced it by replacing it with the thug life. Thug life, as you know, for Tupac meant the hate you gave little infants, F's everyone. Nigga meant for him, never ignorant, getting goals accomplished. So to the acronyms that he derived from thug culture and from black street culture and from ghetto-centric reality, he endowed with a kind of religious passion that edified those people who were both the thugs and the niggas and gave them a transcendental force because now they were cooperating with the best impulses of the universe.
You know, I'm giving it my best shot to do right by the community. Y'all do right by me. Support me, I'll support you. If I feel like I ain't got no support, then, you know, ain't no need in me being out here putting myself on Front Street. If I feel like I'm getting supported, I go all the way. Just like I went all the way for Thug Life, I go all the way for the community. But as soon as y'all turn y'all back on me, I'll turn my back on y'all and we won't have nothing to talk about.
The reason Tupac represents both the thug, the nihilistic denial of potential meaning in human existence, and, on the other hand, a kind of ghetto saint whose very edifying transcendental meaning is able to resonate universally is precisely because he understood the yin and yang, he understood the good and the evil, but more importantly, he understood the life force that was both bubbling up within black culture and also contradicting itself at the same time. And thug for him never simply was literal. It was always metaphoric. It was always representative. It was always symbolic. And in that sense, Tupac continues to be a most powerful lightning rod for both the forces of edifying revolution and thug life that grounds that revolution in the economic and material conditions of those who are most acutely poor.
Measure a man by his actions fully, from the beginning to the end. Don't take a piece out of my life or a song out of my music and say this is what I'm about, because you know better than that. And if you take me out the game, you're not gonna wanna see the next one. Trust me. Take me out the game, you're not gonna wanna see this next dude, because he ain't gonna have no compassion.
He was transformation in flux, constantly rearranging his identity, constantly changing the pieces of the puzzle of what it meant to be a human being, and constantly in quest of his best understanding of what it meant to be humane in the midst of chaotic realities around him. Whether or not Tupac's life was translatable before he died, like any other great icon, probably very doubtful.
To translate it now, though, you need only look at the impact he has had and continues to have worldwide.
People in Amsterdam are waiting in line trying to get the album. And you know, if you just check the internet, it's all there. That's where it is. You just go to these websites and you see how much he's being talked about and how much, you know, how many hits these Tupac websites are getting from, you know, internationally.
The reason he's able to be globally consumed, so to speak, is not simply because of American capitalism, whose tentacles stretch worldwide. People from all over the world were attracted to Tupac precisely because he was a person who was looking for the right way to articulate the possibility of humanity in the midst of difficulty.
He did it, you know, he shake the haters and brought the positive out, you know what I'm saying, and other people, and you can see the way he shined at the end.
still going on. It hasn't changed, you know?